Yeah. Fresh out the cell with a plan and a boo. Ain't clip beeping, but my heart's beating for you. Let's go. Met her on a prison pen pal site. She said you cute even in that orange light. Now I'm home and I'm free, kinda on probation. She picked me up in a Prius, pure elation. Got a teardrop tat and a heart full of dreams. She brought cupcakes and some government cheese. I said, girl, you a snack, maybe even a feast. She said, you just hungry cause you live with the beast. Love after lockup, wild and free. Got no keys, but she got the key to me. From yard time to FaceTime, look at us glow. From prison phone calls to reality show. Love after lockup, we don't play. Tinder got nothing on JPay. I did my time, now I'm doing hers. Doing laundry and love, both in spurts.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Love After Lockup, Locked Down, where we are currently covering Season 2, Episode 1. As always, you can find us in our Facebook group, Love After Lockup, Locked Down, or on Instagram at LALU Locked Down. I'm Jennifer.
And I am Lisa.
How are you doing today, Lisa?
I'm doing good. I actually watched these two episodes yesterday, and I love the name of the first episode, and I was like, it says it all, and that's how this season is going to go. And the season is like 9,000 episodes long.
It is a lot different from Season 1 that only has 7 episodes.
Yeah. What is there, 52? Something crazy?
53 episodes with an Where Are They Now included.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I watched these backwards. I watched episode 2 before episode 1, and I think it's kind of telling that I didn't even notice that I had missed an entire episode until I went back to try to watch episode 2, and I was like, wait a minute, I've already seen this.
Well, what I did was somehow my Philo app, when I opened up this show, put me all the way to the very last episode of the season, which was like the tell-all recap kind of thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
was so confused, and I'm like, is this what I'm supposed to be watching? And I'm like, wait a minute. It's like it didn't make any sense. And then I realized what the hell happened, and I almost watched that. And can you imagine how mad I would have been? I
Oh,
would have still
yeah.
saved it. Would have saved it because takes some effort to write these notes.
And we're in a new season now, so we get to meet new people along these next few episodes.
Mm-hmm. This is a little bit different. I was a little shocked by some of it, but I can tell that this is going to be a lot more exciting this time around. Not that I didn't like the last season, I definitely did, but this one, my handwriting sucks, and it just gets worse with age, and I can barely read what I wrote because I was writing so fast. There's so much to write.
Yeah, this season heats up. It's a lot more intense than season 1.
Hmm.
We start off with Matt and Caitlin, and Matt is 28 and Caitlin is 32. And these two have never spent any time together outside of jail.
Hmm. Yeah. It starts out with a scene where it's her and her friend, and she says something like, I'm going to wear panties or something like that. And I wrote it down. That's my first line. I'm going to wear panties.
What else would she wear?
I don't know. I don't even know why she said that. I'm sure there was more that went along with it, but that's just what I wrote down because it caught me. Or it was her and her friend in a room, and they're trying on outfits, and I don't know, she tries on some really awful blue and purple dress, and she's like, "Oh, do you like this?" And the friend's like, "Yeah," but in her mind, she really didn't. Terrible.
That's not a good friend. I don't want a friend who's going to be like, oh, you look great, while thinking, you look fat as shit, or that is not flattering on your ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but was just plain ugly. I don't know if you remember it. I mean, she was straight up lying, and when she told her she liked that dress, it was no one likes that dress.
Where are you wearing that dress, my friend?
Yeah, the Timu launch party. I don't know. It was bad.
And Matt's in prison for possession of a firearm, possession and eluding, and running from the police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's been incarcerated the entire 5.5 months that they've known each other. Of course, like we said, they've never known each other out of jail.
Right.
Not at all. And at this point, he's getting out tomorrow.
And her friend asks her if she's nervous about seeing the size of his penis.
That's a pretty valid question, but the first thing that popped into my mind, and tell me if I'm the only one this happened to, but I'm like, you mean to tell me that they haven't spoken about it and he hasn't snuck a pic with that illegal cell phone that everyone seems to have in prison, or whatever laptop or tablet they get the use of.
Here's a
He'd
little
have his
picture.
mom send a pic.
God, I hope not.
Mom, send this. Send this on your end.
Send this Polaroid of my dick to your friend, to my friend.
She, yeah. I'm sure that's happened at some point somewhere in this universe. It has to have happened. Someone did that.
I love that they met on a website she found on Craigslist. Like,
Yeah.
even she was kind of like, yeah, this might have not been the best decision making, but
Mhm.
here we are.
Well, I was thinking who uses Craigslist, and at this time, I still it had to be like, I don't know, 2020 or something, because the last season was like 2018. So, were people using Craigslist still at that time? I think people kind of started not using it
To hook up?
to, well, anything. I mean, it used to be the
Oh, no.
go-to for everything.
People still use it.
Oh, okay. I just like the missed connections, that those creepy missed connections.
Those are probably still in there too. I don't think misconnections. I would like to know how many people actually reconnected based on missed connections, Craigslist.
It's usually people who, they're using Craigslist, but the other person is not, and they will never ever see their message.
Right. What is the chances that you're going to
Mhm.
run into somebody, they're not going to say a word to you, and then you're going to see their ad on missed connections?
Mhm. It it's just creepy. I don't like it. I did find an apartment on there once upon a time, but that was when it was the go-to. That was like in 2008.
Caitlin's friend, as many friends we've seen, expresses her concern. She's worried about the choices that Caitlin's making, and Caitlin is defensive, which,
Yeah.
if somebody's criticizing you, I can see why you would get defensive, particularly because
Mhm.
of what she's done to be involved in the relationship.
Yeah, she says he might shit on my heart. It's like, okay.
She says
Could.
that, but does she
What's
believe
that?
that? She says that, but does she believe that that's actually a possibility, or is she just so convinced it's going to work?
I don't think she is. I mean, she's a attractive girl, and she probably didn't need to do this. Let's just put it that way. It makes me question. I mean, none of these people seemed like they actually needed to find a mate this way. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. No one. Maybe there's a couple at this point. Want to that I can think of that may have needed to go this route, but not many.
She's moving out of her mom's house because her mom doesn't agree and support her relationship.
Yeah, but she does say that her mom is a drug addict and that most of her life, her childhood and her life was kind of wasted.
Mhm.
Not her mom's life, but Caitlin's life, because she just dealt with her mom being a junkie for her whole life. So who is she to say what's good for someone and not? You know what I mean? That's kind of the pot calling the kettle black there.
Yeah. She moves in with his mom, and this is a decision that she made on her own. She did not
Hmm.
consult with Matt at all, and Matt is at this point under the impression that he's going to parole out to, or be released to, wherever she is, without the idea that she could be with his mom, obviously.
Yeah, I kind of question why she's living at home in the first place and then doesn't have her own place and needs to go with his mom. But I don't know the answer to that, but I was questioning that. We don't know much about Caitlin at this point.
There does seem to be something going on, though. I mean, if we're being
Mhm.
honest, there's something up with her. What that is, we don't know yet, but she's an interesting character, and I think she's going to be one to watch.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Next up are Lizzie and Scott, and he's meeting with a realtor to tour a house, which I thought was interesting since he just said that he has no money. I mean, he's been nonstop talking about how he doesn't have any money.
Yeah, he will have to sell his current house in order to get a new house. Now, I don't know how big his old house was, if it was in an area that, is gonna do well on the sales market. I mean, if he's gonna get enough money to outright buy another house, if he's gonna owe extra, because this house that he's looking at is pretty substantial, and it has, 3 bedrooms, and it is a $350,000 house, so he has to either break even or or lose or maybe possibly make money, but I don't see him already having a 350,000 wow, $350,000 house. But I mean, I can't judge just by seeing, pictures or of whatever he lives in now. They did show his house. I can't judge. I don't know if that's a $350,000 house.
I don't know. I do know when Lizzie calls him, she's still not happy with the idea that he is buying a house for her. You know, she starts questioning him. Well, does it have a pool? Does it have this? Does it have that? And this is after we have to mention that he did tell the realtor that she's in prison, because we know how our cast members love to tell people.
Yep, he told her that freely, and we find that, and I don't think we knew exactly the website they used, what it was meetaninmate.com.
Hmm.
He tells he tells the realtor she's getting out in 20 days. We find out she had multiple drunk driving arrests on top of that little tidbit that we know she drove over someone's foot.
Right. And you could see her just like losing it and driving over somebody's foot. Like, she seems the kind of person to do something like that.
Yeah, she's unstable. Let's say it that way. We find Lizzie's lawyer, that of course Scott paid for, got her sentence reduced to only one additional year, which, that, I mean, from what she was facing to a year, that's amazing. So that was an expensive lawyer.
And he answers the phone on speakerphone, which it must be something that they're instructed to do, because everybody always answers on speakerphone, even when it's a really bad idea. And she tells him to get 4 bedrooms instead of 3, because she doesn't want to
Hmm.
have sex with him right away. And it's interesting that she's waiting till she's 20 days out before she brings this up. But my favorite part of this scene was the realtor just, he's like, oh, and he turns and he walks away. Like, I do not want to be involved in this conversation.
Yeah, and you know that realtor's thinking gold digger, and he doesn't care. He just wants to make his commission.
Oh,
She says
yeah.
some crap. Yeah. And she says some crap about she's uncomfortable being with a man right now and she needs to be a godly woman. I'm like, oh, come on here, come on.
She can't have sex sober, so she wants to be celibate.
Mm.
Which is interesting because he just waited a year because she had drugs. So now she's mysteriously off of all of the drugs,
Mhm.
and
Now she's spiritual.
she's spiritual when it comes to sex.
That's funny.
And of course, what do you expect? Scott's like, okay, that's fine. Whatever you want is okay. He would stay with her for 20 years and never have sex with her. And it's always funny to me because somebody will go, Well, I wanted to have sex. We know you wanted to have sex. Like, that wasn't a question anybody was waiting on. We know this. You've talked about how hot she is. We get it.
It's yeah, clearly that was part of what was in his mind, the fact that he was going to have sex with this beautiful woman. He but you're right. I feel like he just go along with it. Okay, whatever you want, Lizzie.
Right.
Dumbass.
Now, the thing that caught me was what closed up the scene. He says, "Our calls are actually going good lately." What does that mean? Like, it was just a quick snippet, but what does that mean? Do you usually argue? Is she mean to you? What? I would have liked for him to say more on that one.
I I can't imagine their calls going any differently other than the me, gimme, 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 gimme. I need. I just can't imagine it going. And there's no way he's fighting with her. There's no way. There's no way.
No. Next up is Megan, Michael, and Sarah. We have a trio here. Megan is 28, Michael is 26, and Sarah is 24. And Michael calls Megan, and she mentions that she's been cheated on in the past, but that she trusts him wholeheartedly.
Hmm. Yeah, he's saying things like he misses her little fine ass and things like that. I mean, I was immediately like, this guy like oozes player, oozes it.
He is something else, and let's be honest, he's not that attractive. Like, he's not
Mm-mm.
that attractive, you know what I
Nothing
mean?
special. Yeah.
Right.
He also says, "Do you love me more than Beyonce?"
"You gonna make me choose?" Yes.
Yeah.
They've been together for a year and a half, engaged for 8 months, and he proposed to her on the phone at 10 months.
Busy boy this whole time because he's only been incarcerated for 2 years. So
Yeah.
he's been doing work.
So he started talking to her right after he got in prison. I mean, within, I would say, an estimated 6 months based on the numbers she gave.
Mhm.
And they met through his cousin, who asked her if she could send him her information. Apparently, the cousin must not have told her that there was someone else involved in the situation.
Yeah, and I wonder why, because that's I caught that, and I was like, "Yeah." And we don't find out that there's a threesome here until a little bit later, but yeah, I went back to that thought about the cousin going, "Why? Why did that happen?" We also find out that she's a virgin and she is
Right.
28. I don't know if we said she's 28, but she's a
Yeah.
I mean, no judgment. She has her reasons.
She's saving herself for magic and passion.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't catch where she's from originally, but I know that she's going to Michigan to pick him up and then taking him to New York, where he's paroling to be near his daughter.
Mhm. Yeah.
And all of this is no face to face meeting. Like, everything in their relationship, they've never met.
Michael's in for violating his parole. He was originally in for grand theft auto at age 14 or 15.
That's something else. I mean, he's been doing this his whole life, basically.
Yeah, he's full of issues. She says she can't wait to get married. E- in the her family doesn't know she's engaged, and in walks the giant dad, and he's
Right.
he's there to make sure she doesn't make a mistake. Dad's sitting there, he's rolling his eyes. We did find out he has a daughter, and the dad's asking about the baby mama drama, and the fact that incarcerated individuals run scams on individuals like this, dating scams. We know we know that for sure. We just talked about one, Lizzie. Men have sugar mamas just like like women have sugar daddies.
And he asks her specifically, "Are you concerned about his daughter's mother, who would be Sarah?" She said, "No, I have no reason to be concerned about that because he's very honest with me and he tells me everything." And it is disgusting to watch
Mhm.
her be so confident in their relationship when we know what he's doing.
Yeah, dad says, I pray to God that I'm wrong. Well, guess what?
Yeah. Her dad says that he's going to make a fool out of her, and she gets defensive. But I think that every couple that we have come to where friends are involved, as soon as anybody voices their concerns, the other person gets very defensive, as though they're being attacked, when I don't think the majority of it is attacking. The majority of it is just voicing your concerns. I mean, we have Chris with James from season 1 to deal with, and you know,
Yeah, everyone's got that person, whether it's their
yeah.
family or a friend, that going, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
I mean, the one of the only ones that's not getting much flack, is Caitlyn as of thus far, except for from her mom. But it seems like her friends and everything are kind of like, "Oh, this is great. Let's go."
I have a feeling, just based on this episode, that she frequently makes poor choices, and so it's not super surprising to her friends. That's speculation, but that's the vibe I get. Like, they're like, "Oh, it's just Caitlyn being Caitlyn."
Oh, that Caitlyn.
Such a silly goose.
Oh gosh.
Next, we're introduced to Tracie and Clint. Tracie is 38 and Clint is 37, and they are out of Hobbs, New Mexico.
Oh gosh, this one. I immediately wrote down he's sitting at a table with a menu with antlers. And I mean, he says right out of the gates he's an only child
Right.
and they stopped at perfection. And I'm like, what do we have here? A big man child.
That was your first. I was just going to ask you what your
Yeah.
first impression of Clint was as a man child. He is definitely a mama's boy. You feel a little bit like something's going on. Something's a little bit off
Mhm.
with him. I don't know what that would be, but I'm not going to diagnose anyone.
There's something. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if we ever find out, but there's something.
I
I don't think it's just being an only child either.
The commitment these people have to bad situations is unbelievable. They will do anything to keep it up.
I don't know about you, but I was shocked that he's already been married twice and he's literally sitting there with his first wife, whose name is Haley, and she's his boss.
Right. And the conversation they had, where he sat across from his ex-wife and said the things that he said, like, "Hey, we're going to get married the day after we meet, and she's amazing." Just the things that he was saying, the look on his ex-wife's face was like, "How were we ever married?" Well, that was the look on my face too, because I wondered the same thing. How were these two ever married? Like, what was she going through? Or did he change that much? Because they do not look compatible in any realm. Like, no part of that
Mhm.
makes me feel like they would have ever been together.
Yeah, she's sitting there with her "May I speak to your manager" hair like she's on Kate plus 8, and
Right?
she's looking all serious and business, and he's sitting there like a deer in headlights going, "I love this girl." And I'm like, "Dude, what's happening?"
She's perfect. We're getting married. Clint, that is a terrible idea. He asks her for 2 extra days off because they're getting married on Friday. And she asks him, like, is that a good idea? Like, is that what you should be doing? And of course he says, "Oh yeah, it's a great idea. I don't even know what you're talking about."
He does a weird laugh, and I wrote weird laugh.
They also met at meetaninmate.com. So this must be a really popular website. And I'll be really honest with you, like when you posted it, I clicked on it and started reading about it because we were going to get a pen pal, but we were vetoed on that one. So we'll have to wait and see.
I would like to direct you to our Facebook group, Love After Lockup Locked Down, and it is there, and you can click on it and you can check it out and let us know what you think.
Yeah, that's a good group too because we're active there and we can keep the conversation going from the shows and from the podcast.
Please join and let us know what you're thinking about the season, what you've found about any of the people who've been on the show so far. Just, we have polls on there. Just join in. It's pretty fun.
So the next thing that I noticed was I think that he has pictures that she colored on his headboard. Like she's 5 years old. Did you see this?
He, yeah, he wrote her through snail mail to begin with, and he's reading one of the letters, and I'm just like, what is happening? What is happening here?
She served 5.5 years for violating federal probation and introducing drugs to a facility. I'm wondering if she tried to bring drugs into the prison. That was my very first thought.
That has to be what that means. And she also was passing bad checks, but obviously she wasn't passing bad checks in prison, or maybe she was. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are.
I would feel like they wouldn't let you have checks in prison, but I have never been, so I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, they sneak drugs and cell phones in, so someone's putting a pack of checks in a box of Pop Tarts and mailing it off. I have no idea.
How would you feel if you were his ex-wife and you were hearing all of this stuff? Like, she's very concerned, but what would you be thinking if your ex-husband was telling you these things?
I wouldn't be shocked because of who my ex-husband is, but I would just be like, "Man, I can't wait to see this go down." And I know she talks to him still, but she doesn't look like she likes him. She's just like, "I'm your boss." And I'm like, "Here." But there's a reason why these two are divorced.
That's what I see. I don't see that she doesn't like him. I just see her going, "This is why we're divorced." Like, the whole expression on her face is like, "I cannot with you."
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. But she doesn't look shocked in any way. She's kind of just sitting there monotone, like you can tell she's in her mind shaking her head and rolling her eyes.
Except when he mentions getting married. I think she was concerned.
Oh yeah. I I'm gonna yeah. A stranger would be concerned.
It's such a weird thing to decide to do, and everybody is trying to support him, and, like, you can tell that she's trying to be supportive without being like, "What is wrong with you?"
Mhm.
And you add all of these other things. They've never met, and they've only been together for 6 months at this point, and they're getting married the day after he picks her up.
Yeah, she got her phone taken away in prison, and I mean, his ex is just like you're just like winging it, and she says she feels nauseous about the whole thing.
And his response to her is basically like, "Oh, yeah, but she's so pretty,"
Mm.
because that makes a difference.
And honestly, pretty in a way. I don't want to insult anyone. It's just
She's pretty to him.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would be like, oh, that's a reason to do this. Kind of pretty.
I don't think it matters what she looks like, regardless. This is a terrible idea. Like, she could be the
Yeah.
most gorgeous woman that's ever walked the earth. It's still a terrible idea. Next up are Matt and Caitlin, and she finally arrives at his mom's house. They hug, she cries.
Yeah, I mean, they have definitely talked before, but this is the first time she's meeting him or meeting her face to face. You know, Caitlin loves this because she says she feels like she's lacked actual family for so long.
Right. That his mom is the mom she never had, or his mom is the family she's never had.
Hmm. She brings her to Matt's room and she's looking at Matt's old pictures.
But I think his mom's realistic too. Caitlin has been to visit Matt 4 times over the course of their relationship.
And that's not a lot.
It's not a lot to be face to face with someone only 4 times is not a lot. And his mom warns her that he's got a history. So her
Hmm.
concern is somewhat trying to protect Caitlin on top of, I'm sure, her love for her son.
Yeah, the mom is very nice and she's being reasonable, but she is also saying this isn't a great idea and you don't know what you're getting into and you don't know each other.
Right,
Like there's all that flirting and fun and cuteness, while you're not in the real world with each other, just like we said with like Garrett and Jonna from last season. I mean, like, it's everything's great until you get into real life with each other, and
right.
then what?
His mom says that when he was 10, his parents got divorced, and that started this spiral down for him. Eventually, he got on meth, and that's when he ended up in prison.
I'm not shocked to find out that he's an addict, and I speculated that maybe she was or is one too, but we don't know this. I hope it's not another situation like Ala and James, where where Caitlin's just being very naive to what it's like to be with, an addict. There may or may not be relapses, but the chances are that there might be. And mom's basically saying that. She in a nutshell, not in so many words.
Right. He calls her and she tells him, "Hey, I'm with your mom." He gets mad, mad, not even
Hmm.
rationally mad. What I'm not sure what he thought would happen.
Yeah, he was mad. Almost thought it looked like she thought he wasn't serious, that he was mad, but he definitely was mad. You could hear it.
Yeah. But I still don't understand what he thought was going to happen when the two of them were together. Is he never going to have the two of them together?
I just think maybe it's too much too soon. She's infiltrating his life, and maybe we don't know. We don't know if he was that serious to we only know Caitlin's side at this point. We don't know anything about his side.
That's
So
true.
we
That's
don't
a
know.
very good point. His mom says that he has a short temper and she's worried for Caitlin. And she doesn't
Oh
specify
gosh.
worried in what manner. Is she worried about her physical safety? Is she worried about her emotional safety?
Hmm.
But that's a concerning thing to hear from someone's mother.
Yeah, that one. God, I hope she's not right. I really do.
I hope not. She says that part of what she loves about him is that he loves her for who she is after he just refused to talk to her. Like, he's so mad about her being at his mom's house. He tells her that he's not calling her that night and then he hangs up on her.
Hmm. Yeah, and she seriously thought he wasn't gonna do that. She thought he was gonna be like, "All right, fine, I'll call you at night." But instead, he's like, "Click."
Right. Yeah, that was wild.
I don't know why I'm laughing about that because it really was telling. Let's just put it that way. It was pretty telling.
Yeah, I feel like it tells us about who Matt is and what we can look forward to once he gets out.
Hmm.
Next, we're back to Megan, Michael, and Sarah, where Megan is taking a virtual sex exercise class, or a sexercise class, if you will.
I was watching this part with my husband, and he's cracking up, and he's like, "So you could do that? You can just like do this, and someone will teach you things like virtually like that." And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Welcome to like the future," and like you're your health insurance company keeps sending you a thing. They want to send you a tablet. They want to send you a stand for that tablet. They want you to do exercises with a virtual person. I'm
Right.
like, of course it exists, but I didn't realize that it existed for sex, but I guess it makes sense that it does. She's like on her little chair thingy. It's like, I don't know. Like I was thinking, lady, do you really think people do this to prepare for their first sexual encounter? You just wing it, dude. We don't do this stuff.
It comes naturally. You'll figure it out.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. It's human nature.
Back to Clint and Tracie, and he goes to visit his mom at their butcher shop, which I'm assuming they own based on, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote this. My first line is, "This guy is nuts," in all caps. I think it looks like his family's got money. They
Yeah.
definitely own. They definitely own something, if not that butcher shop, something.
It just, I get the vibe that it's theirs.
Mhm.
And his mom asks him to live with Tracie before they get married, and he says no. Like, that's just an absurd thing to ask of him.
This guy is making the poorest decisions thus far, I think, of everybody.
It's a bad situation. His dad says he's seen too many Dr. Phils, but his mom tells his dad to be optimistic.
Yeah, she says you have to be optimistic and not pessimistic. Dad's just like, I don't trust her.
Clint is steadfast in his determination. He's going to do what he plans on doing no matter what.
Yeah, he said there is nothing Tracy can do that'll make him change his mind.
I feel like he is on par with our buddy Scott, and we're back with Scott and Lizzie, where he's meeting Jasmine for the first time, and Jasmine is Lizzie's daughter.
Yeah, and I think Scott thought this was gonna go swimmingly, and it just didn't.
It did not, but I mean, consider the situation. When Jasmine was 8, her grandparents took her from Lizzie because of the drug use. And then when Jasmine was 9, Lizzie went to prison and has been in prison ever since.
Yeah. And even through all this, and it doesn't surprise me. Or I'm sorry, Jasmine still loves Lizzie, and she still wants what's best for her mom, and she still wants to have a relationship with her, or she wants to start a relationship with her.
Right.
And Jasmine's excited for when she gets out. That's good though. It's good. At least she's not doesn't have enough anger to be like, I never want to know you, and my grandparents raised me, and you're not my mother, and things like that.
That's true.
Mm.
Jasmine tells Scott that he shouldn't buy a house because Lizzie needs to be an independent woman without Scott. So she's very clear that she doesn't want the two of them together.
Yeah, and he's just like, oh, I'm going to help her. I'm going to get her life started. I'm going to get her a car and a license, and and it's just like, no, that's just like that's not teaching her how to get back into normal life on her own. No, that's great. I mean, this is all Lizzie's ever done is with had sugar daddies that have just given her everything and anything she wants, and now she's going to get everything again, plus a house with 4 bedrooms in the pool, and he's just enabling. And if she was out on this is what was where my thoughts went, and she wanted drugs, Scott would get her drugs.
Well, and we find out because Jasmine asks that Scott has spent over $90,000 in 3 years, and most of it was spent on drugs. So he is paying for her drugs.
And, her daughter just says that this relationship is fake, and she just doesn't. She's just like, this is crap, and she knows her mom enough to know that this is just what her mom does, and this is just another one of those guys.
Yeah. She says she'll do whatever it takes to split them up, and she won't let her mom go back to prison.
Hmm.
We end with Michael, Megan, and Sarah, and Megan is shopping for lingerie with her friends. She tells them that
Yeah.
They've had phone sex.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what she used to learn how to have phone sex. Watch
Mm, I don't know.
YouTube videos. She says she's getting a hotel for their first night. And the friend is shocked that she's still a virgin. He knew she was a virgin in college, but he didn't think she was still a full-on virgin. And I guess we can think about what that means.
28 seems late to be a virgin, in my opinion. I mean, everybody has their reasons. I just didn't sense any reason for her. There wasn't like a religious reason, or
She's not a Mormon
she's not a
that we know of.
Mormon. She says that she trusts him completely, and her friend suggests she get Sarah's number and call her.
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't express a need to do any background on him. She said they have no secrets.
Yeah.
And this is when we finally meet Sarah, who is chasing Michael and Sarah's daughter, Aviana, around trying to do her hair.
Yeah, she's 2.5 years old. She just says that she's gonna assert herself and just be like, "Look, bitch, this is my man," to Sarah, all the while not having any idea that Sarah and Michael are also engaged.
She says that they've been together for 6 years and she has so much trust in him. There's no concern on her part.
No, not at all.
Everything's going to be fine.
It's gonna be great. Everything's gonna be great.
Who is your VIP for this episode?
I am gonna go with Jasmine.
Oh,
Because again, someone who's younger than all of these people, I believe, and has more sense, and also isn't like pushing her mom to the side, like I said, and going, "Yeah, screw you. You didn't raise me. I don't want to know you anymore." She's still gonna try, but she wants the best for her mom, even though her mom didn't raise her for most of her life.
right. My VIP is Scott for even having $90,000 to give to Lizzie.
That was over the span of how many years, though?
3.
3. Okay.
That's $30,000 a year. That's more
It's
money
just
than,
that's pocket change.
yeah, that's more money than some people make in an entire year.
Yeah, that's pocket change. I made $7 on Facebook. FYI.
That's right. So that's about it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, head over to Apple or Spotify to rate and review. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join our group on Facebook at Love After Lockup, Locked Down. Listen every Wednesday wherever you find your podcasts and keep those notifications on to be the first to catch bonus episodes.
And in the meantime, don't fall in love.
And don't get locked up.
First date at Walmart, keeping it low. Told the clerk, don't judge me, I'm on parole. I brought roses, okay, 1 rose from a gas station. She said, "Aw, babe, now that's validation." We be vibing in a halfway suite. Microwave dinners, romance elite. She my ride or die, she brought me a phone. Even snuck it in once, pre-release song. She hold me down like a key-o with charm. Except she don't mace me or twist my arm. We write vows in Sharpie on my court docs. Judge said no contact, but we beat the clocks. Love after lockup, cuffed and proud. Matching jumpsuits, now we rockin' the crowd. She said, "Don't mess up," I said, "Bet." Now we're TikTok stars with no regrets. So here's the love and second chance thrill. From a concrete bed to Netflix and chill. They said, "Don't catch feelings," but I caught a case of butterflies, girl, not just in one place. Ankle monitor beep. Oops, curfew gotta bounce.